Hey everybody, welcome back to the Market Interest, where we talk stocks, finance, and the markets. UFOs, apparently they are real. The House Intelligence Committee's Subcommittee on Counterterrorism, Counterintelligence, and Counterproliferation is set to hold an open congressional hearing on Tuesday, May 17th about unidentified flying objects, UFOs. So this is the first time in over 50 years this has been a public hearing about UFOs, and it's meant to shed some light on this aerial phenomena. Now, what does this have to do with stocks? What does this have to do with the market? Well, our military has been taking this very seriously, apparently, as a national security issue. In 2021, there was a special task force created to collect data about UFOs and present it to public leaders. Now, these UFOs have been shown to move in ways that just defy physics, and they're hundreds of years ahead of our most advanced technology at this point in time, at least from what we know. They're moving faster than the speed of sound without creating any sonic boom. They're accelerating and decelerating without any means of propulsion or braking methods, and being able to move fast between water and air without getting ripped apart. So just defying physics as we know it. So, assuming these UFOs are peaceful, we want the brightest minds in the world studying how these things work and how can we replicate that same type of technology. It would be a game changer to be able to fly from the US to Europe within 2 minutes, or to move cargo from one side of the world to the other, let's say within a couple hours. It would be a game changer. Or what if these UFOs, aren't so nice? Well, then we definitely want the brightest minds in our military having the most effective equipment possible. So let's review 2 stocks I believe would be good investments, assuming UFOs are visiting planet Earth, starting with the first, Raytheon Technologies. Raytheon Technologies is accelerating ideas to solve some of the world's biggest challenges and bringing together the brightest, most innovative minds across aviation, space, and defense. All right, so Raytheon Technologies it's a great company. They work not only within the U.S., but they work with other countries as well. And I personally, prefer a military company to be working, specifically with one country like the U.S. or their allies. But hey, if UFOs are here and they're taking over, we're gonna all want to work together as a team on this one. But let's get to the stock info here. So we got Raytheon Technologies. 1-year performance is just about 6%. Year to date, they are at just under 6% as well, about 5.69. Considering where the S&P 500 is, or NASDAQ, obviously Raytheon is outperforming at just currently, just due to the other indexes really being hit pretty hard. But this company's been able to sustain their performance pretty strongly. Now, their company stock is about $92. And if we drop down to their earnings per share, looks like it's $4.78 currently. Now, they've got a forward PE of about 19, which is a little bit higher, I think. And we can actually check it out compared to their peers, but I think it's a little bit higher, especially because they're not just a tech company. They're more industrials and aerospace oriented. So, I mean, if you were just a tech company, then yeah, multiple of 20 would be, okay. But the valuation's just a little bit high, I think. Do pay a dividend of about $2.20, and that's a yield of 2.39. Their market cap is $136 billion, so they're a big boy in this field. Let's check out how they compare with their peers, especially in terms of their valuation. Raytheon, then we have Lockheed Martin, Airbus, the Boeing Company, Northrop Grumman, and General Dynamics. A couple of these actually are tied together, subsidiaries. But let's jump down. Valuation, you can see, well, all right, so in terms of their valuation, it actually looks like they're a little bit of a higher grade compared to the other companies, at least from Seeking Alpha's standpoint. All right, yeah, so their forward multiple, or if we look at their trailing 12 months to begin with, they had a multiple of 32, which again, that's kind of high, especially compared to their peers as well. If we look at their forward multiple, or at least expected forward multiple, then it came down a little bit. They're still around like that 23, 24 range, somewhere in the 20s. And it looks like a couple of the other ones are a bit higher, but yeah, it's not the best in the world, but it's also not horrible, especially compared to other companies that we've seen and explored on this channel before. I would love for their earnings to be a little bit higher, or for their price to be a little bit lower in order for that multiple to really be extremely attractive. But again, it's not bad for the company and the industry. Raytheon Intelligence and Space. They have different satellites, different missiles, infrastructure that they have, but it looks like they're working within 30 different countries. They have 66% of the world's airspace, and it managed by their systems, which is wild. And over 34,000 employees. So they deliver all types of technology systems that, whether it's military oriented or if it's just for private companies, but really to have disruptive technology that can help their company overall. So with a company that's just really well integrated throughout the world, that is working with 30 other countries already, 100% of the Department of Defense information assurance standards. They have the highest level of cyber protections for any Department of Defense space system. So that's huge, man. That's huge. So it sounds like they're probably top line cutting military defense company. Great, obviously great company. I've got a lot of clients that invest in their stock as well, and it's been a really, it's been a lifesaver, especially this past year, because the performance of their stock has been so good. Solid performance of 6%. I know it doesn't sound like a whole heck of a lot, but when you're getting 6% plus a dividend, and when the markets are just really shaky right now, it's been really helpful. So Raytheon Technologies would probably be the number one choice that I would have if UFOs are visiting Earth right now. Let's jump on to company number 2, which is Palantir Technologies. Palantir Technologies is focused on creating the world's best user experience for working with data, one that empowers people to ask and answer complex questions without requiring them to master query languages, statistical modeling, or the command line. All right, so right off the bat, I'm going to say I know Palantir has been a huge, talking point for investors over the past, 2 years, and it has been the horribly performing stock. I just bought this stock. Actually, I think it was a week or 2 weeks ago. Just bought it. Because it went down so much. And I think that they're a good long-term game, play. But this is not something I would highly recommend for people to invest in this company right away. As you can tell, their 1 year performance down 59%, over 59%. So they've been getting beat up really, really bad, really bad. Check out their year-to-date performance, down 55%. So they really got beat up pretty badly over this past year. Earnings per share, you're looking at 16 cents on an $8.34 stock. So hey, at least they're making some earnings, right? They've got a price to earnings multiple of 51. So that is really high. That's really high. And this is after the performance of their stock came down so much. So the price to earnings multiple was ridiculous, extremely ridiculous a year ago. Like, it doesn't make any sense in terms of where it was, which is probably why it came down so much. But right now, even still, a multiple of 51 is extremely expensive. Their market cap is 15 billion, so they're still a big company. They're, for considering, I should say, that they just went public. If we look at Seeking Alpha's rating history, obviously they have a strong sell on here for their quant rating. Wall Street, it has a hold, and then Seeking Alpha investors, I feel like a lot of them are just definitely they probably lost a lot of money and they want it to come back. So now this company, I'm interested in this company because they have some very serious contracts with the U.S. government. And besides that, they're only working with the U.S. and their allies. They're not looking to just work with any country. They do a lot within like artificial intelligence, computer learning, computer processing. It's kind of hard to explain what this company does. I listened to their CEO talk about their company, and a couple other of the employees talk about their company and explain what they do. And it's just one of those things, you're listening to somebody who's so smart that you just don't understand what the heck they're talking about. It pretty much comes down to processing data and using data to predict the future, understand where things could become more efficient, where things can be streamlined, save on costs, save on investments, or start to create other things. But a lot of it's computer learning, artificial intelligence, and having these programs work much more efficiently. Let the computers do a lot of the hard work rather than the employees try and figure things out. They've got a strong grip within the US government. They're already a major contractor for them. And now they're reaching out into more private companies to help them with their artificial intelligence as well. Let's go to their valuation. Let's check out their valuation just so we can see this over time. Price to earnings, about 70. So that's 289% higher than their sector median. So as you can tell, this is a really expensive stock compared to their peers. And again, this is only $8, but they're not generating much revenue, or earnings, I should say. And if we look at their price to sales, if we're thinking a company is more like struggling and they don't have consistent earnings, price to sales is an okay approach to valuing a company, or at least to assess that area. And it looks like their trailing 12 was their price to sales was 10 compared to sector median at 3, and price to sales moving forward looks like about 8.5 compared to, again, 2.8, closer to 3. So looks like their earnings or their sales are either increasing or their price is dropping, or maybe a little bit of both. I know they had a little bit of trouble in their last quarter, didn't generate as much revenue as they would have liked, in line in Q3 2021. They missed in Q4 2021. They missed in Q1 2022. So not something that we like to see, really. But again, hey, if the UFOs are coming down, we need some companies that have like the best cutting edge technology. And I think this is one of those companies where they've got cutting edge technology right here. Also, I think that they could be, another reason I think they could be a decent longer term investment is the way their business model works is a little bit different than other companies. They have a lot of expenses up front when working with clientele. So anytime they're bringing on a new contract, a new customer, what they're doing is they're custom designing their AI needs to fit exactly with what the customer, the consumer wants. And so there's a lot of expenses put up front before closing the deal. Once the deal's actually signed, and then it's pretty much them generating consistent cash flow off the same clientele. And any changes that need to be made to their program, obviously that's another ticket. But these are contracts that are put in place where, again, there's a lot of front-loaded expenses that get put into this. But in the long term, those contracts are very profitable. At least they're projected to be extremely profitable for Palantir. So I think it could be a good investment in the long term. But again, this is not something I would recommend people rush into, especially right now. There's been way too much hype. But hey, if UFOs are coming down here, if aliens are taking over, then we're going to want to have a company like this that has cutting edge technology that can have all this computer learning, AI involved within their systems, so that we can use this in our defense, or just to learn how these UFOs are working. How are they defying the laws of physics? So we're going to need some pretty smart people and technology wrapped around those questions there. So that's what I got for today, guys. Click at the links. I left a handful of links down in the description below about about these UFOs and where they're coming from, and the news articles, and links to the Department of Defense about UFOs. So just so you guys know, I'm not crazy. I guess they're all real. So, but if you have any questions about these stocks or some other stocks in particular, feel free to click the other link in the description below, which you can set up a one-on-one free consultation with me. We can discuss if these stocks are appropriate for you, whether they make sense in your portfolio or not, or what we can do to maximize any performance or protect your investments, your portfolio right now. The market's been really volatile, so you have to be very selective in terms of what you're investing in. I don't recommend rushing into anything, too high risky right now. You want to be very thoughtful about it. So if you want to have a phone conversation, a Zoom meeting, or sit down one-on-one if you're in Connecticut, then feel free, click the link in the description below. We can set up a one-on-one time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, guys. Appreciate your time, and I will catch you all next week. Take care.